Hello, 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 hello. We are back by popular demand. Okay? I am M and we are here for episode 2 of Traitors season 4. So let's just get started. The episode opens up with the Traitors in the turret and they have just received the shortlist from the secret traitor. Included on the list are Ian, Mark, Eric, and Rob Rash. And so they basically start by going over the pros and cons to having each person be murdered. So obviously Rob Rash isn't getting murdered. He's a traitor. You can't kill a traitor. So they go over to Ian, mention that he's smart, capable, and a gamer. So obviously it would be like taking out one of the stronger threats earlier on in the game. They then look at the pros and cons of Mark. He is a totally random kill, and it would put people on edge, being like, why did he get killed? Could I be next? Right? Okay? Then we have Eric, who they mention is very intelligent and kind of low-key. Candace mentions that kill would create confusion and chaos, which always usually works in the favor of the traitors. We open up the next day at the breakfast table. Rinna, Tiffany, and Monet and Caroline are the first to walk into the breakfast room. Tiffany immediately starts by mentioning in her confessional that she is a little bit worried that Rob or Ian might be killed because they're both gamers, and not only are they like her alliances, but she's also afraid that would put suspicion on her if they were killed. I think fair point. Then Caroline Stanberry asks everyone to recap what happened last night regarding Porsha and Michael and Candace. She was like, I wasn't there, I wasn't paying attention. So they kind of get into that, explain what happened there. Lisa then says in a confessional that the traitors have to remember not to be the center of attention. Miss Candace. Which is a fair warning, but I don't think Candace is going to do this whole center of attention thing the whole season. I'm hoping that she's just starting out like this, and like once she feels she's kind of secured herself in a faithful position, she'll maybe take a step back. Because obviously, yeah, you don't want to be the center of attention, but you need to have some sort of attention in order for people to be like, you're not doing nothing. Then some other people join the table. Porsha, Maura, Johnny, and Kristen. Portia's like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, we're talking about the situation from yesterday. Portia's like, what situation? And they're like, babe, the situation with you and Michael, do you not remember? And she's like, oh, I already forgot about that. She's playing it off like nothing happened. More people knock, knock, knock on the door. Dorinda arrives and she receives a standing ovation. She survived the night. What a shocker. I mean, like, I'm happy you're here, Dorinda, but I didn't think you were going to be killed the first night twice. Like for 2 seasons in a row, you're going to be the first one. I don't think anyone thought that would happen. So it does seem like a bit much, but, I guess we're happy you're alive. Jam Jam then tells Rob C that he's really surprised he's still alive. And Rob C's like, whoa, my spidey senses are tingling. I am a gamer. What do you mean you're so surprised I'm alive? Were you trying to kill me last night? So basically, from these first 2 episodes, it's clear, like, Rob C is thinking. He's got his thinking cap on, and he's not stopping for a second to figure out who the traitors are. So I really respect that, but it is giving, like, threat level midnight. Okay? Oh, Candace, after hearing this, I think it's Candace, kind of mentions, could Jam Jam be the secret traitor? So then the final group arrives to breakfast, all the people who were up for murder. We see Michael come in, we see some other people come in, and we ultimately see that Ian has been murdered. And I have to say, I'm so sad. Like, I don't know this man. I've never seen this man's show. But the fact that he thought there was a faithful strategy, like, it just makes me so sad that he's gone now. And, like, I get it. People have obviously been faithfuls before and, like, won and had, like, a strategy to win as a faithful. But I think the way Ian came in, at least for me, I took it as, like, he almost sees the best strategy to win the game as via the route of a faithful. And I don't entirely disagree with that. So I would have been really curious to see how he strategizes and, like, make sense of that. But now he's gone, so we don't get to see that, unfortunately. Let's see what's next. Tiffany makes a big toast for Ian. She talks about how he was really nervous to come on the show and he was facing his fears by joining the show. Colton then mentions that this is, like, kind of suspicious that Tiffany is making a toast. He kind of notes, like, oh, are you overcompensating for the guilt? This is all in a confessional. Are you overcompensating from the guilt of, like, murdering him and that's why you're making a toast? But he also mentions that he doesn't really, like, understand the closeness from people on the same show, like Big Brother or Survivor, etc. Because I believe he's from The Bachelor, so you don't have that, like, friendship, I guess, with, or, like, team alliance with other people on your show. I don't know. But I did agree with Colton in the sense that it does kind of look like Tiffany is overcompensating. I know in season 3 of UK, I can't remember who, I don't know if it was Paul or one of the other traitors who made a toast, and everyone got on him and was like, that's really suspicious. So we see that again, and I do think it's not the best look, but, like, it's not the one piece of evidence that's going to get you banished. So, like, stay cool, Tiffany. I think you'll survive if you keep acting like a faithful. Then Alan arrives in a very fancy, like, silver suit, giving, like, that, like, crackly material, like, not material, like a crackle effect, like that crackle nail polish on a suit is what I was seeing. And he says, I hope you are all ready to be thrown into today's mission. And they're like, okay, throw, the clue is throw. Are we being thrown? Are we being catapulted? I was thinking they would be catapulted, but also that doesn't make sense. So basically breakfast is over, everyone leaves the breakfast room and separates into their groups to have a little strategy discussion, to chat, to put some names up, to see what other people are thinking. And Rob basically says he is on the hunt for a secret traitor. He is going to do everything it takes for him to find out who that secret traitor is, and I respect him for that. So we then see Dorinda, Porsha, Ron, and Kristen chatting in the library. And starting here until the rest of the episode, Porsha. Peach juice. Princess of Thoughtlandia. Girl, I need you to think before you open your mouth. I know it's hard. I'm bad at it sometimes too. But Porsha, you are literally like walking into banishment. Like you just threw yourself in the banishment hole right there, okay? So here's what happens. They're chatting in the library, and Dorinda says that it's essentially really hard to form opinions right now because it's so early. Basically, any ideas you have of anyone is just speculation. Like, the game has not been going on long enough for anyone to have a concrete idea of who a traitor would be. Porsha says, I have nothing. I can look at each person and I cannot get a feel. Like, I feel real crazy because I also thought it could have been Ian and he's the one I killed, period. Okay? I'll read it again. She says, I have nothing. I can look at each person and I cannot get a feel like I feel real crazy because I also thought it could have been Ian and he's the one I killed. Okay, she just says it could have been Ian and he's the one I killed. She does not specify when he was killed. Okay, remember that for later. So, Porsha. Porsha, what do you mean when you said, I also thought it could have been Ian and he is the one I killed? Now, Miss Porsha, if I'm gonna put myself in your brain, I can maybe see that, like, what you meant to say was, when I was sitting at the breakfast table this morning, I thought it could have been Ian who was killed, and that it was Ian who was killed. But that's a whole lot more words that you were not using, Porsha. Like, it seems like she was trying to mentally say, like, if I imagined he was killed and then he was the one killed. But you used half as many words as you needed to, and now people think you're a traitor. So Ron clocks this immediately. Ron is like, excuse, the music drops. See? Ron's like, what the fuck did you just say? He's like, what did you just say you killed someone? The camera cuts to another group of people talking outside. It is Rinna, Monet, Colton, Tiffany, and, Natalie outside chatting under the gazebo thing. And Tiffany essentially mentions she's very suspicious of Donna. She says that only someone who feels safe doesn't feel like they need to make connections. And once again, the gamers are at it. I have to say, maybe I wasn't paying attention as much before, but I really do think the gamers are, like, working overtime with their strategy this season. They're doing really good. They're making a lot of good points, and they're sharing these good points with everyone else. So the Traitors do have to watch out, because it's true. If you feel like you don't need to make connections, that means you think you're safe. And if you think you're safe, you're a traitor, because nobody thinks they're safe. So very strong case for Donna as a traitor, potentially the sacred traitor, but we don't know that yet, okay? Colton then says Donna's not talking game to anyone. Another huge red flag. I mean, that is like traitor red flag number one. Like, I think everyone knows if you're gonna walk around and not throw people's names up there, not talk game, that's like huge, okay, you could possibly be a traitor. So she, like, that's bad strategy, Donna. We need to fix that. Natalie then mentions that Donna was pretty quiet at breakfast this morning, potentially feeling guilty for murder. Maybe that is why she was quiet. I don't know. Something to think about. So then Colton essentially says everyone is way too scared to say her name, and 100% agree. Maybe it's the Swifties, maybe it's the Kelseys, I don't know, but it definitely seems like coming in because everyone's just like, I love Donna. Nobody wants to vote Donna, which would make her a perfect option for a traitor, because it's like, okay, you're coming in as a cast favorite. So, potential secret traitor material. The camera then cuts back to the library. We see the housewives chatting, and Dorinda mentions they're gonna have to banish at the round table tonight. And so Michael says, like, oh, are we doing a banishment every night from now on? And Dorinda explains, yes. Basically, 2 people every day will be disappearing, 1 from the banishment, 1 from murder. Okay? And Porsha just keeps digging herself a deeper grave. She just keeps digging this grave. Dorinda says 2 people a day will be disappearing. Porsha then says, which is bad, because if we kill a faithful at banish, then she pauses. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be 2 faithfuls at each day. So, not really a full sentence thought, but she essentially is saying it's bad that 2 people are disappearing every day, because if we banish a faithful, she says if we kill a faithful at banish, she means if we banish a faithful at the round table, then we will be killing 2 faithfuls each day, because obviously the traitors will not be murdering traitors, they're murdering faithful. So I get what she's saying, but again, Porsha, English, it's not working. At this point, the entire room is stunned. The music also drops again, like that like, doop, that I can't make the noise, but it's like cuts, and it's like a singe, okay? The entire room is just like looking around. They're like, did my ears hear what I thought I just heard? Michael like thinks he just caught a traitor. Like Michael thinks he's got a traitor in his hands. And so we see Donna, who is also in the library, sitting there in her confessional, saying, oh geez, was that a slip? Did Porsha just slip up? Did she just admit to something she wasn't supposed to admit to? And so Porsha gets up to leave. Now it is only Ron, Rappy, and Donna in the room. Rappy, aka Michael Rappaport. And they're like an alliance. They have something going on. They have this little team, but the weird thing is like, I get you have teams and alliances, and I get you only trust certain people, but the 3 of them are like making themselves way too insular and not sharing any of their theories with other people. So it really does just make the 3 of them look super suspicious. Regardless, we have the 3 of them chatting in the library, and Ron starts off by saying, like, first of all, did we just hear what the fuck Porsha said? Because that's crazy. And they're like, everyone's like, bro, was that a slip up? Was that a Freudian slip? What did she do? What did she say? Porsha, why did those words come out your mouth? Then Ron explains how earlier Porsha mentioned, when I killed Ian last night. Ron says, Porsha said, when I killed Ian last night. Now that is not true. That is a lie, Ron. Don't be a traitor, because Porsha did not say when I killed Ian last night. Porsha said when I killed Ian. Now, kind of saying the same thing, but the last night adds a whole element, a whole nother level of traitorous behavior, because you could have mentally murdered him in the morning. Maybe if we're gonna do mental gymnastics, Porsha could have said she mentally murdered him in the morning when she was expecting who was not gonna come through. But when you throw last night in there, that's 100% traitor activity. So Ron is very sneaky and smart for that. And so the 3 of them are just like convinced it was a Freudian slip. They're convinced Porsha is the traitor. They're convinced Porsha is coming after Michael. Oh, and I just feel so bad for Porsha here. I really wanted to see Porsha do well. I really wanted to see her, like, at least get as far as Robin. How can Robin make it farther than Porsha? How do we have Robin Dixon making it longer in this game than we have Porsha Williams-Gubadia? Like, girl, you couldn't save yourself from one banishment? Because she would have been good, she would have been fun, she would have been funny. Like, she wouldn't have been great, but she would have been faithful. She would have been ditzy and fun. So, very sad that she's basically in the can now. Okay, so now it's time for today's mission. We see everybody in their cars, in their little outfits, driving up to where they have to meet for the mission. And we see Steven's car talking about how Rappy, his name is getting thrown around, but in general, everyone's like, he kind of talks too much. And so the consensus is kind of like, he talks too much to be a traitor. But someone counters that by saying, if he were to be a traitor, he would be talking too much, and this is how he would be behaving as a traitor. So it's almost like he's behaving too much like a traitor for them to think he's a traitor, but because he's behaving like a traitor, people still think he's a traitor. So obviously, I think his name is going to come up at banishment, but it doesn't seem like people have as much evidence aside from just hating him and wanting him to leave. And you know what? I don't even care if he's a traitor or not. I know he's not, but he needs to leave. He's ruining the game for everybody. So I'm fine with that. Vote his name out. Kick him off. Get him off the island. Ron is then in his car. I believe he's with Donna and Michael again. And he basically says Porsha's very hard to trust. And he also mentions that when Porsha made her first slip up talking about I killed Ian, there was people in the library who didn't react at all. And he's now suspicious of those people, like, oh, are they stupid? Did they not hear? Or are they just like covering for her and they want to act like she didn't slip up when she did? I don't think either are true. I think people probably did the same as you, Ron, heard it, clocked it, put it in their head for later, and then went and chatted about it. Like, I don't think everyone at the exact moment was gonna be like, Porsha, did you just say you killed Ian last night? Did you just say you killed Ian? Like, that's not the best strategy as a faithful. Like, it's a better strategy to clock it, save that info for the round table, and then murder her. Which, you know, that's what happens, and she does get banished. So we then cut to another car. We get Jam Jam in the car with his group, and he talks about how at this point in time there's not enough money in the pot to prioritize money over shields. And I thought that was very interesting. Very much a game player strategy, but I think it's really smart. I actually have a lot of thoughts about this. So basically, what Jam Jam's trying to say is like, y'all, I don't care. I will be selfish today and I will be getting a shield because we just don't have enough money yet to actually fully be going for that. And I think he's right, and I actually really respect that decision of him to say that. Unlike Michael, having actually watched the show, I do think that shields are very important in the beginning of the game and in the end of the game. However, I don't think you really need a shield as much in the middle of the game. From what I've noticed, at least, you need a shield in the beginning of the game because it's like mostly chaotic random murders or strategic game player murders, or like strategic this person would be good murders. Like, we have to get them out there a threat. And to that extent, because everyone kind of has an equal target on their back and the game's just getting started, you want a shield because you want to solidify yourself somewhere. In the end of the game, there's just so few people left, somebody needs to die. And so maybe the traitors don't necessarily want to kill someone, but they're like, we need to kill someone, so you are going to die. Which is why a shield is also equally as important at the end, because you got to make it to the end. If you're going to win the fucking money, you're not going to win the money if you get killed. So you really do need a shield in the end. In the middle, though, I don't think you really need a shield. And this might be controversial, but I think in the middle of the game, once people really start honing in on who they think are going to be traitors, once people really lock themselves in on these theories, I think the middle of the game almost just entirely relies on these like social shields. Like, it relies on who you're friends with, who you trust, who trusts you, and like what type, what it would say if you were murdered. And so to that extent, I almost don't think you need a shield, because if the traitors want you around, they'll protect you. And if they don't want you around, they're going to kill you anyway, and if they don't kill you, they're going to set you up for banishment. So to that extent, you don't need a shield in the middle. Get those shields now, get those shields at the end. Okay, so we arrive at the location of the mission. Everyone gets out the cars, and we see Alan standing in front of 3 large chariot throne things, and they have like 4 wooden spikes on either side for like people to push them. So it's like a rolling chariot throne situation. The way the game works is that there are 3 thrones, and they're some ways away from the castle. You can see it in the distance. I don't know how far away it is. Mile or 2, half a mile, I'm not sure. So there will be 3 people riding in these chariots. Everyone else will be pushing the chariots back to the castle. On this route, there will be 3 stops. At each stop, there is the opportunity to collect like $8,000 worth of gold and 2 shield tokens. The way these shield tokens work is that if you find a shield token, you put it in the chariot throne of the person you want to take the shield of, and you get to take their chair on this, or you get to take their seat on the throne. Essentially, when the game is over and the thrones get back to the castle, the 3 people who are sitting on the thrones when they arrive back at the castle are the 3 players who will be shielded for murder. So essentially, it's like rotating it's like what's it called? Musical chairs. It's like musical chairs, but musical shields. That's the game. So, oh, and they have 45 minutes to do this, and they don't get any time checks. So like someone just has to like figure out how many minutes have gone by. If they don't get to the castle within 45 minutes, nobody gets a shield. If they do make it in 45 minutes, the 3 players get their shields. Okay? Got it. Simple. They start the mission. And it's kind of like, okay, who's gonna sit on these thrones first? Because the likelihood that you have a shield from the throne if you start, highly unlikely you will end. Like if you start on a throne, it is incredibly unlikely you will also end on a throne. So you're basically just like giving up your potential for a shield. So they're like, let's just put the lightest people on the thrones to start with, because they're not heavy, so it's easier to push them. And like, I wasn't even thinking of that, but yeah, that's exactly what you should. If you're gonna be pushing people, you don't want to push the heavy people. So smart. Candace in her confessional then says this is a huge win for her, because if she can take a shield from a faithful and sit down for an entire mission with no questions asked, that's a win. Like love. Then we see Alan saying that he will be heading back to the castle to drink a hot toddy. And I was like, wow, should I go make myself a hot toddy? That sounds really good right now. Alan heads back to the castle. Tiffany decides she will be keeping track of time. And like, they're off to the races. We're just time to start pushing these chariots. So they get to the first stop. And the first stop is the orchard. They're gonna look for cash, tokens, etc. Colton has a little confessional where he says he's gonna look for cash at stop 1 and 2, and then at round 3, go for a shield. Essentially because, you know, bank some cash first, and then get a shield at the end, because someone's gonna take it from you if you get it early. You know, great strategy, love it. So Colton does that. Monet then finds a shield token and gives it to Lisa. And Monet makes a point to say, like, I shouldn't use this. And he's like, Lisa, use this. I don't want to get in the chariot. And I thought that was very honorable. Thank you, Monet. The women should be sitting down and the men should be working. So claps all around for that. Honestly, there was a few very chivalrous men in this challenge, and I was very happy with that. So then we see Steven also find a shield token, and Steven says the same thing. He's like, I'm not comfortable taking this from a woman. My mother would not be okay with that, so I'm gonna give the shield to someone else. Oh yeah, I don't know who the Steven guy is, but I love him. Call me, okay? So then Maura gets the second token. And she's so cute. She like sits on her little throne. She's like, could I have a foot rub? Wait, that was such a bad Irish accent. I don't know, I can't do it today. But she's like, can I have a foot rub? Which is like so cute. Like, she's like, I'm on my throne. Someone give me a foot rub. And I thought that was cute. And I would like a foot rub. So we get a quick shot of them being like, how much time has it been? Tiffany is like actually pretty good at keeping time. It's been like, they're like, oh, it's been about 45 minutes, and it's like 39 minutes. So, wait, that's wrong. No, the whole time is 45 minutes. Maybe it's been like 25 minutes and they say they have 30. Tiffany's counting a little bit quick, but she's actually pretty accurate in her timekeeping. So I was impressed by that. And obviously it's better to be like early on time than late, because then you don't win anything. The last stop is the forest. They arrive there, and this is where the shields start to get a bit hairy. They get a bit hairy here. So, Colton is in the forest looking for a token. He finds one. He's like, yes. Rappy is like, I need a token. I'm gonna be up for murder. I need to protect myself. Like, just having a tantrum once again. And so poor Colton has to choose which woman to steal the throne from. And it's like, Colton, none of them. You don't need a shield, but if you're gonna take it from someone, you should take it from Caroline instead of from Maura. I was wrong. He didn't take it from Maura. He took it from Rinna. So, which, still bad. Don't take it from Maura or Rinna. I like those girls. These are my girls. So Colton has to steal the throne from Rinna. Rinna's like, damn, I was having so much fun up here. I just got comfortable. And Colton says like, oh, I decided to take it from Rinna because she's on my radar, which is bad. Colton, why is Rinna on your radar? Get her off your radar. Rinna, you need to start behaving in a way that will make this man trust you, because I cannot have Rinna getting captured and banished and deleted from the game before the end, because I think between Candace and Rinna, I think Rinna has a tiny bit better chance of winning. I think it's pretty equal, but if I were to place bets, I think Rinna could probably go to the end before Candace could. Anyway, Rob R finds a token, and another chivalrous man. He's like, I am not sitting on this throne. I am a big, strong man. I push the throne. So he's like, who wants a token? And he offers it up, and Jam Jam's like, oh, I want it. And it's like, okay, Jam Jam, take it. So Jam Jam's like, I need to kick someone off the throne. This is where Jam Jam kicks Maura off the throne. And I was like, no. I felt so bad. Maura's like, don't do it. You wouldn't do it. Don't do it. So, but she gets kicked off, ultimately. Jam Jam takes the throne. Right as Jam Jam puts his little token in Maura's throne to claim his shield, Michael runs up out of nowhere. And he's like, whoa, guys. Wait a minute, guys. What's happening here? He's like, I need a shield. Like, wait a minute. Why is Jam Jam getting this shield? Did Jam Jam find it? I want a shield. I want this token. And then he cuts to a confessional of Michael. Like, just dumb as ever. I'm convinced he's never seen the show. He's like, I thought we would all have the opportunity to say why we needed a shield. Michael, that was not gonna happen. If you've watched the show ever, you know that no one was about to be like, okay, look, let everyone quick in the middle of the 45-minute timer we have, let's do a big vote on who deserves the shield most, and everyone state your case, and write a 5-paragraph essay. Michael, that's not gonna happen. So, basically, so Jam Jam sits down. Jam Jam's like, this is my throne, you're not taking it from me. Michael's all pissy, and they're like, whatever, we have to get back to the castle. So you see Tiff say like, we need someone strong to push Colton's big ass. And it's like, yeah, Colton, you're probably like a 250-pound pro football player. Like, nobody can push you. And I do feel worse about Colton getting that shield than Jam Jam. Like, Jam Jam is not giving extremely athletic. Jam Jam is also not giving big and bulky and muscular and extremely heavy. Like, Colton, you are a massive dude. Jam Jam's just like a normal guy. So I can forgive Jam Jam for kicking a woman off. and going on the throne. But you, Colton, no. And you don't need a shield. You're nobody even knows who you are. Nobody is considering murdering you. So he was a waste of space. We then see Porsha. We get like a quick cutscene of Porsha just running with the chariot, and she looks so good. She's like in a little brown sports bra, and she's just running, but she looks amazing. Like body tea right there. They gave us a quick little body tea. And yeah, they keep running with the chariots. They cross the finish line. They're like, yay, we did it. Did we complete it in time? Alan's like, you guys completed it with 10 minutes to spare. They're like, oh shit, should we go back in the woods and get some more of those coins? No, they can't. But good job. We got 3 shields. And we completed the mission. We banked a bunch of gold. So, Rappy then comes back. He gets riled up again, and he says, now, I'm just curious to who got the final shields. Like, what strategy did we use to figure it out? At one point, Moira was in the chair. He actually says at one point, Moira, not her name, was in the chair. And then she and Jam Jam switched out. Then Michael goes on to say, like, I really don't think anyone should get a shield unless they feel like they're in a vulnerable position. And so then Michael looks over at Jam Jam, and Michael's like, Jam Jam, do you feel like you're in a vulnerable position? And Jam Jam's like, yes, I am in a vulnerable position. It was giving like diva behavior, but in a good way. Like, yeah, take it from Michael. He doesn't need it. And you are in a vulnerable position, Jam Jam. You use that shield. You protect yourself, okay? And Alan's so fucking sick of this shit. Alan's like, can we please, like, save this conversation for the round table? And it's like, yeah, Michael, have you ever seen this show? Now is not the time to have this discussion. Like, why are you making a scene? Like, let's just have dinner and be happy, okay? So the scene ends there. We open up again with Donna, Mark, Rob, C, and Ron, and Monet all eating dinner in the lounge area together. I don't know what to call it. I'm calling it the lounge. It's like the middle hallway area between all the other rooms. Okay? So basically they're sitting down eating dinner, and Rob C asks Donna if she has any suspicions of anyone. And she just shrugs it off. She's kind of like, it's too early in the game to tell. And Donna, you have a banishment. In approximately 45 minutes, an hour, 25 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours. You have a banishment like banishment is, a round table is imminent, okay? So no, it is not too early to start giving names because everyone's gonna have to do it. Monet, Mark, and Rob are kind of like, I see you not giving names. We know what that means. So Monet, Mark, Rob all walk away, leaving Ron and Donna at the table. Ron and Donna are like, are we still going for Porsha? Let's confirm the strategy. And they're like, yeah, we're still gonna go for Porsha. That's our move. We cut to some of the housewives chatting in the kitchen. Dorinda then says she doesn't think it's Donna. And Candace is like, oh really? You know, I think it could be her. Candace also says in a confessional that she thinks Donna could be the secret traitor. And I'm gonna be so for real here because I don't like admitting that I was wrong, but I really was like, no, I don't think it's Donna. I think it's Tara Lipinski. I don't know why I thought it was Tara Lipinski. Like, I mean, we know that the secret traitor is white. We got that from the last episode. So, I'm like, who could it be? Tara was kind of just there. Like, she hadn't had any, like, camera time yet, so I was kind of like, what's she doing here? Maybe it could be her. And I also just thought, like, if Donna's a secret traitor, she wouldn't be incriminating herself this badly this early on in the game. I, believe it or not, wanted to give Donna the doubt and thought she would be a better traitor than she actually was. But no. So, anyway. Candace is conflicted in her confessional. She's thinking, do I spare Donna? Like, if Donna is the secret traitor, do I spare her because she's one of us? Or do we vote her out so that the faithfuls get a traitor and we remain safe? If I were Candace, I would have voted her out so the traitors remain safe. And we'll see what happens. So we see Porsha and the Robs and some of the others chatting while they're eating dinner. And Rob Sestorino asks Porsha how she feels about Michael. And Porsha here says that she actually doesn't think Michael is a traitor. She instead thinks the traitor is whoever is going around and like really putting Michael's name out there. Which, this is what I'm talking about. Porsha could be smart. Like, she's being smart. This is a good tactic, Porsha. You should be going around telling people these ideas so they believe you're a faithful traitor hunter. But she doesn't. You know, that was her one really good thought. And so Sestorino then says, like, do we think Michael could be like the next level traitor? Could he be doing a triple bluff? Like, is he acting like a traitor so we think he's a faithful, so we think, you know, that type of situation. And Rob basically says, like, I mean, he's a professional actor. He's a professional actor, so it's entirely possible. Rob, good save as a traitor. Smart thinking. Rob's doing good. So yeah, he says that. And then Porsha girl starts digging again. Porsha picked up her shovel and just kept digging that grave. She then says, first of all, there's 4 of them, right? There's at least 4. There's 4. As in, there's 4 traitors. And I was like, Porsha, did you have to say that 3 times? You had to say, in one sentence, you had to mention 3 separate times that there were 4 traitors. Like, that's way too incriminating. You couldn't say 4, maybe 3. You couldn't say 4, maybe 5. You couldn't say 3, maybe 4. You had to say, there's 4. No, yeah, there has to be 4. No, yeah, there's 4. Like, Porsha, you're gonna get yourself banished, and I don't even feel bad for you anymore. So Ron's looking at her like she's crazy. Ron's looking at her like she has 3 heads, because he's like, did I literally just witness this woman admit to being a traitor at 3 separate times in one day? Like, could she possibly be the worst traitor to ever exist as a traitor? And I'm almost thinking, like, my God, she knows there's 4 traitors? Could Porsha be the secret traitor? And even me seeing the traitor being a white person was like, you know what? I think it could be Porsha. The evidence was so strong against Porsha. I thought it was Porsha. I was like, yeah, vote Porsha. She's a fucking secret traitor. I also thought, Alan, why would you elect Porsha as the secret traitor? She could never be a traitor. Like, I don't know where Alan got that idea. But it was like, if you know all these things and you're saying all these horrible things that just incriminate you, I have to just believe you're a dumb traitor. Unfortunately, she's a dumb faithful. But we'll get to that. So, Ron's looking at her like she has 3 heads. And he says, how do you know there's 4 traitors? We don't know how many traitors there are unless you are one of them. And he says this in a confessional, to be clear. He doesn't say this to her. And it's like, yeah, thank you, Ron. How would we know how many traitors there are, Porsha? How would we know how many traitors there are if you weren't one of them? So Ron's thinking, and he's, as much as I don't like his ideas of who a traitor is, he's definitely like got the game down. He's got the strategy down. He knows where to look. So he is a threat. And my babes better watch out. But yeah, Porsha, you're gonna get yourself banished. I really can't even feel bad for you at this point, because you just keep saying things that incriminate you. So now it is time for the first banishment. The first banishment is upon us. So we see everyone walking in. Everyone takes their seats. Alan's like, who wants to talk first? Who wants to start? And Natalie's like, I would like to start. Natalie says, I'm going to follow my gut. I'm going to speak my truth. And Donna, you popped up on my radar. So Donna's like, girl, why did I pop up on your radar? What are you talking about? And Natalie's like, you appeared to be incredibly stressed post original roundtable where the traitors were picked. You are less friendly than you were when you started the game out. And, oh no, those were just the two accusations. So then Donna is like, how dare you? That is low-hanging fruit. You are only calling my name out because I am low-hanging fruit. And she just starts throwing a pity party for herself. She's like, I have nobody here. Everybody here has other people they know. I'm like a big nobody. And so you're just like calling on me because I'm an easy target. And Natalie snaps back at her. She says, girl, just because you are low-hanging fruit, that does not mean you are not a traitor. And I was like, oh, get him, Natalie. Get him. Sick him. Like, yes. Like, that is a very good point. And you better come for Donna. But Donna, she had a good defense here. She really, people fell for the pity party. Which, I mean, she's like a 75-year-old lady. Of course they're going to fall for her pity party. So Ron brings up Porsha's name with the 3 pieces of evidence. He talks about the fight with Michael. He talks about her saying she killed Ian. And he talks about her doubling down about there being 4 traitors. And he, again, lies. He's a big fat liar because he says Porsha killed Ian. He says that Porsha said when I killed Ian last night. And once again, we know that is not true. Porsha said when I killed Ian. She did not say when I killed Ian last night. Okay? You are incriminating her further. She does not deserve this. But everyone's like, my God, who said that? Who said that? And he's like, yeah, Porsha said that. Porsha said that. Porsha is the traitor. And so Porsha's like, whoa. If I said I killed Ian, I first of all don't remember that. And second of all, that was a misspeak. I misspoke. And she just explains, like, she was trying to put herself in the mind of a traitor. And so that's where that sentiment comes from. And knowing Porsha, I understand what she's trying to say. But, like, nobody here knows Porsha, so it just seems like a bad excuse. She doesn't get angry or defensive with her rebuttal, though, which I actually think worked really well in her favor. I feel like a lot of times when traitors get brought up, they, like, get very intense in their rebuttals about why they are not traitors. And so I think the way Porsha remained pretty much cool, calm, and collected actually helped her case. How much did it help her case? I mean, it didn't, because she gets banished. But I thought maybe we had a sliver of hope that she could survive there. Maybe she would have got one more vote had it not been for her cool, calm, collected nature. So, Porsha says she misspoke. And Natalie basically says, like, if you are actually a faithful, you don't have to go back and forth in your mind about thinking like a traitor and thinking like a faithful. Like, you would only be thinking like a faithful. And Tara jumps in and gives the classic faithful rebuttal. It's easy to act like a faithful if you are one, which we have seen this statement come across, I think, almost every season that has happened so far. But it's the classic, I am being accused, I was trying to think how a traitor would think. And it's the, well, if you were a faithful, you would think like a faithful. And I think that adage is a bit of a logical fallacy. Because, yeah, if you are a faithful, you're thinking like a faithful. But to be a good faithful, you have to think like a traitor. So it's almost like suggesting that someone should be a worse detective or worse traitor hunter just so that they mentally remain more faithful. I don't like the argument. I don't think it holds, but people always fall for it. It takes them down every time. So, yeah, not the best defense on Porsha's end. She really doesn't have much to say about that. She just says, like, you know, you can believe it's me if you can't. Candace jumps in and she's like, look, it's easy to have slip-ups in this game. I know this game is stressful, and like, I know Porsha personally. I think that Porsha has a habit of misremembering things, and so if she did say those things, she probably just misspoke. And so I do love Candace coming to defend Miss Porsha, because I do think someone needed to say it. Even though I don't want Candace talking too much at these roundtables, I do want her to remain a bit more of a fly on the wall. I feel like, and even though it didn't help her case, I do feel like someone needed to stand up for Porsha and just be like, look, this girl is not the sharpest tool in the shed, and we can't fault her for not being too sharp. Again, unfortunately, Candace's defense didn't work. Porsha is out of here immediately, but she kind of, maybe she didn't have a fighting chance, but at least people fought for her. We wanted you there, Porsha. So then Candace turns to Donna and says, see, I don't think it's Porsha, Donna, I think it's you. I think you would make a good traitor. And Donna says, thank you, I think you would make a good traitor too. It's like, Candace, you don't need this attention on yourself. Like, maybe don't accuse Donna and defend Porsha in the same sentence. Just because it's gonna backfire. I think she's fine though. I don't think anyone really takes what Donna says too seriously when they say like, oh, you would be a great traitor too. Like, it's just a rebuttal. I don't think that would be the reason Candace comes up on people's radar. But you never know. And so Michael steps up. I mean, he voices his opinion and he starts ranting about the shields again. He goes, okay, I want to talk about this shield situation that happened earlier. And he then says, so if there were 8 of us that were up for murder last night, and now there's 7 of us because we got rid of Ian, and like, ball drops, everyone is like, whoa, what do you mean we got rid of Ian? He actually did what Porsha did, like with the whole misspeak, and he's like, we got rid of Ian. And as much as I hate Michael, I probably would have said the same thing, as in like, we collectively, Ian is gone. Like, I don't think semantically it's 100% wrong to say like, we got rid of Ian, that's why there's only 7, not 8. But it also is kind of incriminating, so you shouldn't have said that. But everyone is like, whoa, did you say we? Who is we? Are you we traitor? And he's like, no. Moira's like, does that mean you're a traitor? And he's like, no, I am the most faithful of the faithfuls. I am the faithfulest faithful who has ever faithfuled in the faithful. And it's like, shut up. But he continues ranting, and he says, we're trying to find traitors, we're not trying to find loudmouths, and we're not trying to find people who we don't like. Which, Also kind of a good point. I think sometimes in the game, the faithfuls can unintentionally attack the loudmouths as like and the loudmouths just act as a cover for traitors. So I think it's a good point to say we don't need to go for the loudmouths, because the loudmouths are just a shield for the traitors. That's not exactly what he said, but that's kind of the gist of his argument, and so I do agree with that. But Rappy, you need to leave. So everyone writes the names down on their board, and Alan says it is now time to reveal our votes. People start by voting off Porsha, then we get some votes for Donna, Jam Jam votes for Michael, Rob C adds in another vote for Michael, and he says that either you are the boldest traitor who has ever been, or you are holding people back from the conversations they need to have as faithfuls. And that's the exact reason why Michael needs to leave. He is holding the faithfuls back from truly uncovering who the traitors are, because he's just a big traitor distraction. So, I mean, but if he's a big traitor distraction, then maybe we do want him to stay to protect Rob, Rinna, and Candy. I don't know. Like, no. I don't want him to stay, but the traitors need another distraction shield that they can use. Rinna votes for Porsha. I did not think this was a good look for her at all, because it's like, first of all, you guys are talking about having a housewives alliance and not wanting to kill any housewives, and it's also like, girl, this is the first banishment. I don't think you immediately come off as a traitor if you don't vote the person that everyone else is voting. So yeah, bad move on Lisa's part. She should not do that again. And Colton is ultimately the tiebreaker vote. Lisa is the second to last vote. She votes Porsha, and then Colton is the tiebreaker vote between Porsha and Donna. And this is the other thing, Lisa, if you would have voted Donna, we would have gone to a tie. And maybe Porsha wouldn't have left, but no. Lisa was too concerned about not being found out as a traitor, so she ended up voting Porsha. But yeah, Colton is a tiebreaker vote. He votes Porsha. Porsha leaves. Porsha is banished from the castle forever. Too bad, so sad. 2 episodes in. I wanted her to last longer. And you know, Peach Juice will be missed. Rest in peace. May God rest your soul. So now everyone's like guilty. Everyone's like, oh my God, what? I can't believe she was faithful. She was the most traitorous faithful ever. And I really do feel bad. Ron is also like, I will forgive Ron. He's like, I'm sorry guys, I really shouldn't have done that. And so I was happy he did take some accountability, being like, I sent you all down this path and that was a mistake. And now he's also like, people are going to target me now. Now I have a target on my back. And so Ron, you should have just kept your mouth shut and let everyone banish Donna. But that's neither here nor there. So we see people leaving the round table. We see some conversations going on in the hall. Candace is talking to Tiffany, I believe, about how like she didn't believe it was Porsha, and Porsha could never actually be a traitor because she's far too emotional and far too expressive. And I said, yes, I don't know why we don't know this. Even Alan knows this. No one's gonna elect Porsha as a traitor. She's here to be a faithful. She's here for the comical relief. So yeah, tragic, she's gone. Caroline and Dorinda are then chatting in the hallway, and they're saying like, Ron played us like a fiddle. We can't trust him. He must be a traitor. And yeah, Ron, you really screwed yourself with that decision. And Caroline then says, what's even worse about this though, is that Rinna voted for Porsha. We turned housewife against housewife. And so Caroline is taking this like very seriously, which, you know, that's, I don't know if that's the best decision. I don't know if that's the best traitor hunter strategy, but I do think Dorinda's right when Dorinda says like, yeah, Lisa is stronger than that. I don't know why she did that, as in, I don't know why she was pressured to pick Porsha. Because it's true. Lisa Rinna is like very independent, like, I do what I want, I'm Lisa fucking Rinna, I don't care what other people think of me. And so shying away from that is very traitorous behavior, Lisa. You have to watch out for that. And I actually think that's probably the one like weakness she has as a traitor, is that she is such like a headstrong, independent person that her shying away from that could incriminate her as a traitor. But, you know, Rinna's also fucking crazy. Like, she's Delulu, so maybe she can run on the Delulu and less on the headstrong, and that will keep her in the game. Anyway, the traitors then all receive a message from Alan. We see each traitor individually go to the little reading room where they get their notes in a chair, and basically they get a note that explains there will be a murder in plain sight tonight. Now, I love a good murder in plain sight. I think those are really fun. I was surprised we got it this early in the season. I feel like they usually wait 2 or 3 or 4 episodes before we get a murder in plain sight. But I did like that for this murder in plain sight, we didn't need to hand anything off to anyone. And I think probably just on the sheer fact, I think they probably changed it just on the sheer fact that so many people anticipated that from last year. And so it was like, okay, there's no receivable to this. Like, we're just gonna, you're gonna murder in plain sight, but you're not gonna, you're gonna pick your, you know, you're gonna put it in the fire. You're not actually gonna hand someone something. You're not gonna give them, there's not like a death note that they receive. So I did like that. But generally, the concept of the murder in plain sight for tonight is that the secret traitor has shortlisted 4 people for murder, and the secret traitor has picked these persons' tarot cards with their faces on them, and those 4 cards of the shortlisted players are hidden in the kitchen behind one of the picture frames. And it's the picture frame that looks like a traitor, you know. But they don't know that yet. They just know it's behind one of the picture frames. They will eventually figure that out. So ultimately, what they have to do is they have to find these cards, choose who they are going to murder, and then whoever that murdered player is, the traitors have to take their little tarot card, burn it in the breakfast room, and that person then becomes slated for murder. So, if they are successful in this challenge, they will be reunited with the secret traitor, and we'll be able to meet them tonight. If they do not complete the murder in plain sight successfully, then the secret traitor basically gets to do the whole murder tomorrow night, or like they have no control over who gets murdered the next night. So a lot up at stake. They very much want to complete this mission, and the snake catcher, I think, is probably best fit for it. See Candace, Rob, and Rinna coming down from the stairs from the reading room. Candace is like, girl, I just had a glass of wine, but now I have to turn on my bad bitch and serve. I love that. So Rob and Candace and a bunch of other people are like hanging out in the kitchen. It's very packed. There is not an opportunity to grab the cards right now. Candace is kind of looking around for the cards, trying to figure out where it is, where it could be, but it's like I can't be making it super obvious that my eyes are darting around this room. So Candace is like, we need a distraction. Candace then takes Rinna over to the side hallway and says like, hey girl, take people away from the kitchen. Can you plan a distraction? We need the people out of here. So Rinna's like, okay, maybe we'll have the people follow me over here. We get a quick confessional of Rob, like, talking about how he's in the kitchen waiting for the people to leave. He's like, luckily, I knew which painting it was just by looking at him. It was one with the traitor, obviously. And he says obviously like it's so obvious to him, but it wasn't obvious to other people. And it's like, Rob, you're not that smart. Of course it's the painting with the traitor. What other painting would it be? Like, obviously, Rob. Anyway. So Candace says, you know what, now would be a great time to start a conga line. Like said no one, ever, Candace. But okay, now is in fact a great time to start a conga line. So they're like da 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 da, and Candace just grabs everyone. She just says, let's start the conga line. They're like walking around the whole place doing a conga line, walking around the mansion, walking around the castle. And so this gives Rob a chance to get the cards. He like joins the conga line for like 2 seconds and he's like, I'm not doing this. And he like runs back into the kitchen, grabs the cards, like shoves them in his pocket, and he's like, fuck yeah. It was a very, very, very hot and sexy sequence. I loved it. It was giving me Love Island Rob. It was giving me hot and sexy Rob. It was giving me, oh my god, do something attractive. And watching him grab those cards was hot as fuck. Okay? Anyway, so Rob C is in the library with Tiffany, and he basically says, he pulls her to the side and he's like, here's the conga line. He's like, this is weird, this is suspicious as fuck. Rob is suspicious of everything he needs to be suspicious of, and this is what's gonna get him killed. But Rob is like, I think they're gonna do a murder in plain sight tonight. It's like, how the fuck do you know this? Are you the secret traitor? Like, he's actually too smart for the game. Too smart for the game. How do you know there's a murder in plain sight the night there's a murder in plain... Like, he's like, I think it might happen tonight. Maybe you caught it just from the conga line. But he has a sixth sense. Not good for my traders. So he's like, Tiffany, don't take any drinks from anyone. Don't do anything suspicious. Don't join a conga line for sure. And so basically that scene ends. We look at Rob opening up this pack of cards. He's like, okay, who's shortlisted? We have Rob Sestorino shortlisted. We have Tara Lipinski. We have Monet Exchange, and we have Kristen from Top Shot. So he's got the cards, he's looking at him. Now he has to discuss with his fellow traders, who will be murdered. So he's like in the bar area. There's a lot of people there. It's very crowded. Rob goes, hey Renna, do you know how to play chess? She's like, no, I don't know how to play chess. And he's like, well, I'll teach you. Let's go play chess. And I thought it was a great strategy. He's like, who in the whole hell is gonna watch two people play chess? Nobody watches two people play chess, especially two people who don't know how to play chess. Like, good cover. However, he and Renna are sitting there fake playing chess, like mildly explaining the pieces and what they do. And Tara Lipinski's just like, you know what? I'm gonna just sit here and watch them play. And it's like, girl, what are you doing? Why are you watching them play chess? Why are you watching them fake play chess but figure out who they actually want to murder? And it's crazy because it's like, Tara, you're up for murder. Rob C is like, there could be a murder in plain sight. Rob C, you are up for murder. Like, everyone's up. Everyone who's suspicious is up for murder. So you guys are very unlucky. I would stop being suspicious because maybe you won't be up for murder then. But yeah, very, very awkward. Like, Tara's like sitting there and Renna's like, wait, what? Which piece am I supposed to, what does this piece do? Rob's like, so this piece right here, this one does, and it's like, wow, you guys have to be a little bit better at fake playing chess if you're gonna fake play chess. Anyway, So we then see Sestorino in the kitchen with Candace and wait, I have Matt written. It's not Matt, it's Mark from Dancing with the Stars. So it's Candace, Mark, and Sestorino in the kitchen. Sestorino wants everyone to know. He is protecting the faithfuls. He said, you guys, I think there is a murder in plain sight tonight. Watch out. Don't take anything. Don't hug, kiss anyone. Don't take any drinks. Don't accept nothing. Be careful. And Candace is like, what the fuck? How really does this guy know? Like, how does this guy know? It's actually getting a little bit suspicious how this guy knows. Okay, so we flash back to Rob and Rinna, still fake playing chess. Tara Lipinski kind of walks off. It's just the two of them there. Sestorino, just right about to start walking in. And Rob, Rinna are like, okay, we know who we're gonna murder. We know we're good, solid, we got it. Okay, period. Got it. They're like, once it, Rob, sorry, this part cracked me up. They're like, they decide, okay? They decide who they're gonna murder. And then Rob just goes, this is boring. And they get up and walk away. And it's like, yeah, this is boring. This game is fucking boring because you're not playing it. So they decide who they're gonna murder. The goodnight bell starts ringing. Atoll, atoll, atoll. And Candace still does not know who is on the short list or who will be murdered. Rob is like, we're running out of time. Rinna's like, we got no time. So the bell rings. People start heading up the stairs to bed. And they have to sneak in to the breakfast room. So we see them sneak in. We see Rob light the card with like the candle. He's like start burning it with the candle, and then he tosses it into the fire. Right as they're leaving, we then see Candace walk in without her shoes. Kind of hilarious. But they did look like high heels, so like, yeah, wearing those all day, probably pretty painful, but it was pretty hilarious watching her walk around in her bare feet. And she just like walks in looking so confused, and then nobody, they don't acknowledge each other, maybe for Traitors' safety, but it is kind of hilarious. Like they walk out, they like don't look at her, she like doesn't look at them, nobody says anything. She like looks so mad confused. She's like, okay, there's a card in the fire, I don't know who it is, I don't know who got murdered, I don't know who was shortlisted, but I know the challenge was completed and I know someone was murdered. I just don't know who it is. So she, just like the faithfuls, will need to wait until tomorrow morning to figure out who was murdered. And so, yeah, basically the episode ends there. Candace is like, who done it? Who was it? What happened? I missed it. I was starting a conga line. And so because of her conga line, they were able to complete the murder in plain sight, but we do not know who was murdered yet. And we will find out next episode.